So I might stumble over just a little bit of it, but I promise all that I'm going to say is factually correct. You just might have to bear with the brain fog moment. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Charlotte. I'm one of the site interpreters here. I'm going to talk with my mask off if y'all are okay with that, because we're nice and socially distanced outside, and that means that y'all will be able to understand me just a little bit better than if I try and talk with the mask on. It kind of muffles it. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. A little bit about these cabins and a little bit about the lives of 3 of the people that were enslaved here. But before I talk about them, I do want to talk on the cabins. These are not the original quarters. These were rebuilt in 2013. Originally, there were 20 structures back here total. 2 more pairs towards the big house, 5 more pairs going away from the big house. So 2 rows of 10 for 20 cabins, but 40 residences. 2 families per cabin. It might be 2 or 3 people on one side. It might be 6 or 8 or more on the other side. It just depended on how many people were in that family or household. Now in front of the cabins, none of these trees would be here. These are babies. These were planted about 1925, so they're only 100 years old. They mark in between where the original quarters came up to. So as far as being closer or further from the big house, these 6 cabins are where they need to be. We just had to push them back off the central walk a little bit because, like I said, the trees are babies. They're only 100. That means originally this is almost completely out in the sun. So it's hot, it's humid, the sunlight is necessary. Behind the cabins are good fruit and vegetable gardens. Black-eyed peas, mustard greens, okra, watermelon, cabbage, sweet potato, pumpkin squash. There's a variety of fruits and vegetables that the enslaved community would have to tend to on their own time with whatever limited time that they weren't designated to work. But they had to tend to those gardens because the rations from the big house were never going to be enough on their own. Typically on this property, the rations are going to consist of corn and dried fish, sometimes pork fat and rice. They're filling, but they're not sustaining. The big house doesn't know what malnutrition is yet. They don't know the difference between a full belly and a happy belly. By combining the 2 food groups, though, the enslaved community is going to do something amazing. They're going to create the dishes that become synonymous with Louisiana. When I say Louisiana and I say food, what are some of the first dishes that y'all think of?
Jambalaya.
Jambalaya. Gumbo.
Crawfish.
Crawfish. And what does crawfish go in?
Jambalaya. Gumbo.
Jambalaya or etouffee goes in a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right, some of y'all need to be going out to eat a little bit more. Gumbo, jambalaya, red beans and rice, shrimp and grits, etouffee, crawfish etouffee. These dishes have a lot of things in common. They're filling, they're sustaining, they're quick, they're easy, they're relatively cheap to make. They're able to feed a huge amount of people with not a lot of effort. The limitation is never the ingredients. If you don't have crawfish, you use shrimp. If you don't have shrimp, you use chicken, you use pork, you use beef. You use what you have instead of what you don't. And if you found a good gumbo, it's got about 3 different types of meat floating around in there. Because if you don't have enough of something, you add in something else. The base of a lot of these dishes is corn. If not corn, grits. Grits is simply, or the base of these dishes is rice. Like I said, I might stumble a moment. You grind up corn though, and you've got grits. You've got grits and you've got flour. Flour for cornbread. Grits as a substitute for rice. These dishes, the only limitation for them is the size of the pot. That determines how many people get to eat, because you don't make gumbo for 4 people. You make it for 40. You make jambalaya when you got 100 people coming over. They're delicious and they're meant to be shared with the community of people. But what other things do the enslaved community do with their limited time off other than cooking and gardening, and what are they really doing while they're working during the day? We're going to look into that. Like I said, we're going to talk about 3 people. Amelia, a field slave, Thomas, a craftsman, and Hyacinth, a house slave, cooked the big house. When I talk about these 3 people, I want you to keep in mind that they're 3 people out of over 220 individuals that were enslaved on this one plantation over the course of just over 3 decades. They're not everybody. They're not everybody from this area. There were hundreds of plantations, thousands of plantations in this area, and this is the lives of just a couple of people on a single southern Louisiana sugarcane plantation. But I've gone through the primary documents to find this information. bills of sale, appraisals, rental agreements, baptismal records, receipts. It's limited, but it's going to be an accurate picture. Without further ado, let's get started. I want to start with Amelia. As I said, she's a field slave. She's also a mother of 5. That means that her half of her cabin is very crowded. She's got herself, her children, maybe her husband's on the property. Maybe she's got a parent or a sibling that lives with her. There could be 8 or 9 people in just her one half of one cabin. Every day before the sun is up, Amelia's got to wake up, cook breakfast, eat, leave aside food for her kids, and say goodbye to them. The moment it's light enough to see, it's light enough for her to start working. She's going to be digging and maintaining irrigation and drainage canals, maintaining levees, taking care of the cane crop, and tending to a wide assortment of activities that just have to get done on the plantation virtually every single day. A plantation is a fancy word for farm, and have any of y'all ever spent time on a farm before? Really? Just a couple of people over here? All right, well, answer me this. Do farms take days off? What if it's Sunday? But I just said, but she doesn't have Sunday off? Isn't that what we're told? She works Monday through Friday, sunrise to sunset, half a day Saturday. I said she had the whole day Sunday off. But not really, because it's a farm. Farms don't care what day of the week it is. Cows certainly don't. Cows need to get milked twice a day, every day. In the morning and the afternoon. There's cows, horses, mules, oxen, sheep, pigs, goats, chickens. They all need to get fed, watered, and looked after. That's not to mention the crops. That's not to mention general care and maintenance. Leaky roofs, broken fences. They don't care what day of the week it is, and oftentimes they don't care what time it is. They have to get dealt with. Her best case scenario, shortest work week possible then, or longest weekend possible rather, it's about a fourth a day Saturday, it's about half a day Sunday. It's always minus the booking of chores, and during the work week, she's always got to open and close the farm. So she's really working from sun to sun. Before I get to whatever limited time Amelia had, I do want to talk about Thomas, because he had that same schedule. Monday through Friday, sunrise to sunset, half a day Saturday, plus his own bookend of chores. He's an apprentice blacksmith. As a blacksmith, he's only an apprentice. He's going to be learning how to work with metal, how to make latches, hinges, nails, and horseshoes. He's going to be learning how to work around fires that are between 1 and 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And he's not just going to learn how to make horseshoes, he's going to learn how to shoe, rather shod the horses, and take care of the mules. And between the horses and mules, there's about 50 or 60 of those on this property at any point in time. Thomas is a bit younger than the typical apprentice though. Generally, young men were given their apprenticeship when they were about 20, 22 years old. Like I said, Thomas is younger. If you are under the age of 20, I want you to raise your hand. All right. How old are you?
Oh, hey, 14.
14? 12?
12.
12?
14.
14?
9.
9? 16? 11. Parents, guardians, watchers of these kids and teens. Would you trust them around a fire between 1 and 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit?
Nope.
No, you just had a 1,000-yard stare going on. The answer is no. Would you trust these kids around a full-grown horse? Now you do the weighing motion. Maybe. I've seen 6-year-olds that grew up around horses that they know how to handle that animal. They can do everything but saddle it themselves, and that's only because the saddle weighs more than they do. And they can ride that horse without a saddle needed, so they don't need the saddle. Because if kids grow up around farm animals, they can be trusted around them at younger ages. Thomas grows up in a rural environment. He grows up around horses and mules. He will be more comfortable around him. He might not have full confidence around that forge, but he has a healthy respect for it. You're the only one who's 14, right? Who's 14? You're 14. No, you were older. How old are you?
14.
How old are you?
14.
14. You are 14, and you're 14. All right. Thomas is 14. How would you feel if you had to work the same hours as Mom and Dad every single day? Again, with a 1,000-yard stare and you're just shaking your head. Would you feel happy? Would you feel sad? Would you feel angry, upset, joyful, elated?
Stressed.
Stressed.
Tired.
Tired. How do you think mom and dad feel when they get home at the end of the day? Stressed and tired. But they keep doing it every day because they got to take care of y'all. Thomas is only 14, but he is an apprentice blacksmith. He works all day, every day. He works long hours. When he gets home at the end of the day, he's stressed and tired. But he still has stuff to do because he's the youngest in his family. He's got several siblings and a mother to help take care of. Amelia's a mother herself, and she's got those 5 kids. Cooking, cleaning, dishes, laundry, fruit and vegetable gardens, care for the community, finding time to eat, finding time to spend with family and friends, finding time to sleep. And I just said they work from sun to sun. They left for work when they could barely see. They come home when they could barely see. At the end of the day, they're working by candlelight and moonlight. Sometimes that's enough to see by, but sometimes it's not. They might have to wait till the weekend and hope the farm doesn't take the weekend away, because we went over this. Farms don't care what day of the week it is. If they want to take that day away, it's gone. Maybe next weekend. But let's look at best case scenario. Longest possible weekend, about a 4th day Saturday, about half the day Sunday. It's always mine is that book, and of chores, it's not a lot of time, but it's their time. They get to take their time, do what they need to, when they need to. As long as it all gets done by the end of the day, it's okay. Amelia is going to be taking her time. She's got 5 kids, and she needs to utilize the daylight. 5 kids wear through handmade clothes very quickly, so she's going to be spending a lot of time sewing. She's going to sit and watch her husband do chores nearby in the community. Probably much the same as he's done the rest of the week. He's still digging ditches, but this time it's a ditch for his neighbor's garden. It's something to help the community out. And when he wants to take a break, he can sit down next to his wife. They can talk. They can watch their kids run around for the first time in the light of day all week, maybe in a couple of weeks. Thomas is a kid. He wants to spend time with his dad. He's going to be hunting and fishing on the plantation property, but I don't know if he does that with his dad or not because I don't know. In the state of Louisiana, children 10 and under cannot be separated away from their mothers. 11 and older though, fathers, husbands, extended family, it's not the case. They could be separated. I don't know who Thomas's dad is. I don't know who Amelia's husband is, and I'm probably never going to know. I don't even know if they're on this property or not. If they're not here, there's still hope. So long as the stars lined up. So long as best case scenario, no mistakes are made. Family lives nearby. Thomas might get to go fishing with his dad every other Sunday. Amelia's husband might be able to come over once a month as long as he's behaved on his plantation. He might get a written permission note to step foot off the property for an evening or two. Punishment's not earned back then, though. Punishment's given. We get in trouble today because we did something naughty, right? Right.
Yes.
That's always how it works, right? Well, hold on. Are you 2 siblings? Have you ever gotten in trouble for something he's done?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is it fair?
No.
Does it happen?
Yes.
That's how punishment worked back then. We've all gotten in trouble for something that we've done, and it wasn't fair because we didn't actually do it. We got in trouble for something we didn't do. Punishment wasn't earned, it was given. For mistakes, for accidents. A mistake, a broken tool, a heavy rainfall that floods the fields, that might earn punishment. It might be caused to give out punishment. That might mean the difference between Thomas seeing his dad that week, that month, that year. It controls Amelia's husband's life. But that's Thomas and Amelia. That's an apprentice blacksmith, and that's a field slave. Let's look at Hyacinth. Let's see what his day was really like on this property. So Hyacinth is a cook at the big house. How many of y'all had breakfast? Okay, that's not enough. I know it's early. For those who didn't raise your hand, you're not going to skip lunch, right? Y'all came in late. You missed this part. Gumbo, jambalaya, red beans and rice. You got to look for that food around here. Y'all at least gonna make it up with dinner, because I know that whenever you're traveling, sometimes it's hard to find a good, steady meal that's not something quick, but you're gonna make up for it with dinner. Weekends, weekdays, family meals, holiday meals, before the sun is up, after the sun is set, every time in between, we're people we like to eat. And every single one of us has been up past our bedtimes eating and drinking with family and friends because that's what we do. We're people. We're social. We like to talk. We like to eat. We like to combine those two worlds. We miss it a lot more because of everything that's going on right now. And we can't wait for it to return because we're human. We're social. Jacques and Selena Ramal, master and mistress of the plantation, they're also people and they're also social and they also like to eat. Hyacinth works Monday through Monday through Monday through Monday. He works from before the house is up until after the house has gone to bed. His best case scenario is about 5 to 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep in his own bed with maybe a half-hour personal time on either end. That's not a lot of time. Now breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, dinner. 4 meals a day, 7 days a week, 28 chances to make a mistake. We all make mistakes while cooking. We find them while we're eating. We pull out the offending seed or stem or bone or what have you out. We make fun of the cook and we move on because it's a mistake. We're people. But Hyacinth's a person. Hyacinth makes mistakes. Punishment's not earned back then, it's given for mistakes. All he has to do is miss that one seed, that stem, that fish bone, that eggshell. Maybe he made the food perfectly. It's absolutely perfect, which is interesting because as an enslaved person, he can't read, he can't write, he has to memorize all the recipes and exactly what goes in and when. The food comes out perfectly, but Selena Ramal has a cold, and the food tastes funny because she has a cold. Hyacinth gets punished because he made a mistake. He spends the night in the plantation jail, and he gets let out the next morning because breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, dinner, he's got 4 more chances to make a mistake. Hyacinth has a difficult life. He works all day, every day. The moment he makes a mistake is the moment he gets punished. Thomas is an apprentice blacksmith. He works sunrise to sunset. He works heavy manual labor in a very dangerous environment. Amelia's a field slave. She also works sunrise to sunset. She won't get a chance to see her kids' faces in the light of day unless it's Saturday afternoon or Sunday, assuming the days aren't taken away. Every job was difficult on this property, whether it was mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, or in Thomas's case, it's a combination of both. For every front of the big house, there's a back of the big house. Without the back of the big house, none of this property is possible. So long as we take a moment to remember the people back here as the people that they are, it's important to enjoy the day because it's here for us to enjoy. The trees are gorgeous. It's chilly, but it's not raining, so there's that. We're starting to be able to get outside and move around a bit more than we have had the ability to do in the past year. Take time and enjoy the day. Just remember all the moments that led to this moment. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to hang back and I'll be more than happy to answer. But other than that, take your time. If you haven't visited with the cabins yet, make sure you do so via the back raised walk. It's going to be a lot easier than visiting through the stairs and mulch. There's 2 cabins you can enter via the back walk over here. The middle one has a wall of 220 names. Those are the known men, women, and children who were enslaved here over the course of about 30 years. They're not everyone, they're the ones that we know about. I don't want you to think of them as a wall of names though. I want you to remember them as mothers like Amelia, sons like Thomas, men like Hyacinth, who might have been a father, who might have been a husband, but we're not going to know because they didn't write that part of the story down. Remember them as the individuals that they are. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to hang back. But other than that, y'all, take your time. There's going to be another talk going on in about 10 minutes with Mr. Stevens. All right, thank y'all for listening.